What if everything you've been struggling with, self-sabotage, chronic stress, anxiety, emotional pain, wasn't a flaw, but a message calling you back to your true self? Welcome to Self-Healing Codes with Doctor Traci, where we uncover the hidden causes of spiritual disconnection and guide you home to yourself. Traci is a doctor of metaphysical psychology, spiritual mentor, energy healer, and your transformational guide. This show isn't just self-help, it's a sacred space to break free from the unseen forces keeping you stuck. You'll learn to decode the messages from your body, release fear, and activate your inner power. Healing requires action, and you don't have to do it alone. Get ready, because Self-Healing Codes starts now.
I want to welcome you to this fabulous inaugural episode. And today, this is a really important one. You know, for those of you that are familiar with the work of Dr. Traci, you already know how amazing Dr. Traci is. But today, what you're going to hear is what the pathway looks like, what the journey looks like, and what happens if you don't get to the root. Now, this is my analogy. This is not Dr. Traci, but have you ever weeded your yard, folks? Just want to ask you about that. Do you think maybe, I'm just going to pull that little weed out. I got maybe part of the root, but don't worry about it. It's good for now. No, it's not good for now. What's going to happen is you leave that thing in there, and what will happen, that thing will grow. It will flourish in a way you don't want it to. What if we were to tell you today, maybe you're not a weed. Maybe you're a healthy piece of grass, but something is in the way. And until you get out what that is, it will continue to be in the way. What do you think about that, Dr. Traci, huh?
I love that analogy, Dr. Pat. It's so important for us to realize that this work is our everyday work. And when I say work, I mean conscious self-awareness, knowing who we are, why we're here, that we all are of enormous benefit. We have a contribution to make by just being alive. And one of the biggest challenges of humanity right now is most of us don't feel alive. And I want to change that.
And you know what? You know why you can change that? It's really interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's not the credentials we have. I mean, I want to just be really clear. Yeah, do they help you get a show and be called Dr. Pat? Sure, it does. But they do not help you get at the root cause. You have to be able to willing to go on a journey. And for me, that started about 1990, but in 1997, my first vision quest. But I want to talk to you about this because you have a journey too. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, least favorite things to have as part of my life, spiritual disconnection. Then we're going to talk about emotional and connection to emotional pain. And then we're going to talk about how do you put that all together so you can take, what can I call it, the first step today? What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. I love this flow.
Yeah. So let's talk about emotions. Now, you and I have a story, but I will tell you, I'm having a bit of my own time right now, and I'm not going to go into detail. But here's what I want to say so that you can share. When we say yes to connecting with spirit, I don't care what you do. I mean, you can do the things that I've done, or you could follow what Dr. Traci is going to tell you today. But the point is you're doing it. Now, my past life regression I went through about 3 weeks ago. To the outside world, they think I'm a mess. Mm-hmm. To me, I have a new sense of freedom. My level of creativity is through the roof. So what's the problem to the other world? I'm not able to draw down at the detail. My creativity is through the roof. Yesterday, I created a board game. Now, I didn't mean to create it. I'm really trying to protect the trademark. But for you, you've been on an emotional, dare I say, part of your life's like mine. It's not the slide and glide always, folks. You're not on a water slide. But tell us about, for you, how did the spiritual disconnection, how did this unresolved trauma, how does it manifest in real life?
it's going to be a different story for everyone. We each have our own book, and the chapters have so much depth in them that sometimes we forget that it is that depth. It's those lessons that are going to raise our frequency and vibration. But I want you to imagine that it's always going to start the same way. The challenge with what I'm sharing right now is it starts the same way as most of us are already through this part. But it starts with uninspired. We literally reach a point in our life, hopefully as early as possible, that everything we've created, everything we thought was true, everything we believed and built our life around isn't true. It's real, but it doesn't feed us. It literally takes our energy from us. And so this first stage of uninspire is almost unrecognizable. We don't realize that that's the beginning of the root of the weed in the garden. But it shifts really quickly into self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is when our unconscious habits and beliefs create these stories in our mind and start to rob our heart of hope. And we start doing things with people and places that don't align, that don't serve us. And we create a life around these unconscious false fears. Yeah. And that shifts us into one of the most dangerous and lonely places. Yeah. And I think we'll all have the opportunity to find ourselves here. Sometimes it's when we get stuck here. And here is unable to ask for or to receive help. This is the loneliest space. What it drops into is what I want to call the root of spiritual disconnection, and something that's been stolen from us because it's become a cultural diagnosis instead of its true self. This is depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety are not the enemy. They are not a disease. They are a gift. It's our body screaming to our soul and our ego, our soul being our emotion, our ego being our mind, our body saying, guys, get back together, get into the present moment. When we go too far into the past, our heart is no longer in our physical body. It's stuck back there. And we go into depression because our body is exhausted and overwhelmed. And we need deep rest. We need our soul back in our conscious alignment. When we project too far into the future, this is our ego mind with all of its filters navigating our outside world from way too far from the present moment. And it's a call to get back into our body. But we've let this become a diagnosed, pharmaceutical treated experience instead of what it is, a gift from divine intelligence, moving messages through our body to tell us that we're spiritually disconnected from who we were meant to be.
I want to ask you this. You said something. I want to go back to it for a minute. Since my next level of spiritual, what's the right word? Reconnection. Let me call it that. Because I've basically from a young age, I've always been connected, but this is new. It's spiritual reconnection. And since that, I had somebody describe my behavior today. Literally, let me give you the quote. She's a mess. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not really, but to the outside world, when you shift from one dimension to another, there is a change in the way you see the world. Now I'm back to seeing the world the way I did when I was younger. And I'm not kidding. Yesterday, I developed a board game, and more than a board game. And the reason that prompted me to do this is because I was asleep and somebody registered a trademark of something that I created. And so I'm not down and out about it. I have a great person to go through. But I don't know about you. This level of transformation could be messy sometimes, couldn't it be?
For sure.
So therefore we look like a mess, but I look pretty good today, right?
You look awesome today. You look awesome. Dr. Pat, can I kind of refocus you into a really big opportunity? What you're talking about is an elevation of consciousness. And in every given moment, divine mind or divine intelligence and the ancestral wisdom of Mother Earth are bringing information to us. It's our responsibility to understand and translate the messages. But we haven't been taught what those messages mean. For generations, the grandparents have stopped teaching the grandchildren. This generational trauma has built up. And that's what you've been doing for the last 25 years. You've been moving through that generational trauma to get to this incredibly magical place that three things are happening. You're collecting keys, codes that are for you to unlock these doors of opportunity that change the way that you view the world. Is it messy? Yeah, you're unlocking a door to a room that hasn't been tended to in how many generations. But when you get there, all of the wisdom that you need to align to your true path is there. And our path isn't linear. Our timeline might be linear, but we have all of these little detours of people, places, things, love, pain, joy, disappointment that gather that first thing I mentioned, the keys. And so our responsibility when we meet someone is to say, or when something happens, is to say, is this a key? Do I need to act on this now? And so that person who filed the trademark for your piece of wisdom, that's a key. It's not horrible. It's not awesome. It is a key, and you have the choice. Can you pick that key up and put it in your spiritual backpack and be, I know that this is going to be for a doorway. And now your responsibility is to look for the doorway. When you find that door, you're going to go through your bag and you're going to be like, oh, look, I have it. I have the key to that
I need
doorway.
to buy one of those. Okay, you nailed it. Let me tell you why. I went through the door, and yesterday, albeit, can I call it an issue? I don't like the word problem. I don't use it. I either use challenge. It's really,
Can we call it a message?
Let's call it a message. I like that better. But what happened with this is great, Jamaica, amazing trademark person. There's a way around it because they didn't file for the whole picture. But what happened to me is I sat down and I was downloaded things that I hadn't even thought about this idea. So that's what you're talking about? You see, if we can just hang in there for a minute and don't get caught up in, woe is me. Now, I've had 3 trademark issues in the past 2 weeks, none really issues. They're keys. The Transformation Network, my gosh, going over and putting that together, I walked through the door. Yes. But I want to ask you about how we walk through the door, because I could have walked through that door scared, but I walked through that door focused. We provided over 70 exhibits. So can you talk for a minute about when we are going through that spiritual disconnection and how do we move through it? What are the signs? Give me the signs, because I think this is so important. If we can't figure what that is, then how are we going to go to the call to action to empower?
I love that. The signs are subtle at first. They're intuitive. You just know that whatever is happening is for a reason. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. But when we're spiritually disconnected, it will activate our depression or an anxiety. And in that moment, we have to make a choice. When I teach my students through my signature program, Soul Healing Protocol, I channel for them an actual map that's inside of their cellular memory that lets them know if they're being triggered by their generational trauma, these 3 fear stories or low vibrations are going to be their experience, not as a punishment, but as I'm not in alignment. I name for them their 3 divine assignments. So in every given moment, they know if they're not in alignment, they just have to activate these 3 awarenesses. But when they are in alignment, it's going to show up as these love stories. And so when you ask what the signs are, intuitively, you're going to go either into your power energy and things are going to flow naturally and you're going to allow yourself to experience it. Or you're going to get triggered by your generational trauma. You're going to fight. You're going to resist. You're going to kick and scream because you don't realize that it's a key, a door, or the path you were meant to be on. Because your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, your great-great-great-great-grandparents have forgotten why we're here. And so intuitively, if you miss that subtle connection, it drops into your mind and it starts interweaving with thoughts. If those thoughts are powerful, the light in the room that you've just come into shows you your path. But if it's not, your thought patterns start to create a reality that controls and compels you. This then drops into your soul energy, your emotions, and you either feel amazing or you are controlled by fear. And this is the part that is all etherical. Most people don't recognize that, especially if they're in a state of spiritual disconnection. And so this is the most important part. Mm-hmm. Your body is going to tell you through itchy, scratchy, throbby, burny, tingly, numb, and annoyance. It's going to tell you through pain, dysfunction, or disease. And that's where I come in, translating those messages from your body. And so, Dr. Pat, after your key unlocked that door, I would say to you, Dr. Pat, where in your body do you feel that? And you would share that, which I'd ask you to in a moment. And I would say, that's this. So when all that went down, even though someone's calling you messy and this trademark and it's happened 3 times, where do you feel that in your body?
Do you want me to answer that now?
Yes.
First,
please.
let me comment. The world needs you.
Thank you.
The world needs your work. You know, I've been doing this a long time. I've interviewed a lot of people, but the way you just described a solution, I'm going to use the word solution, the way you just described the work you do and your team does is by far exactly what we need. And we can spend another show talking about it because coming post-pandemic, people don't even know what they don't know about what they've been through, nor do they want to face it, but it is still with them.
Yes.
It is still with them. Let me answer your question. Well, the people around me saw the week. Now, I will tell you, 36 hours straight, maybe a couple hours of sleep because I had to. Not because I didn't have anything better to do. Who would do that? But that's just sometimes when you run a business. But here's what I felt. And I'm going to try to explain it. Not going to do a good job, I'm afraid. But yesterday, when I was done and I went out to the living room to finish some final things, I didn't feel it in any part of my body except above my head. Okay, a little weird, sorry. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to say I didn't have a headache. I didn't have a cramp. You know, I felt, what's the word? Ecstatic.
Right. You were open to divine intelligence channeling even more messages.
Okay, am I able to share like a little thing real quick? So I work with AI, but I work with it very differently. I don't ask it for ideas. So yesterday, I'm on the couch. Linda's doing a puzzle. Linda says, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "I'm talking to my friend." She said, "Who?" I said, "This is my little buddy." "Oh, like what?" I said, "Okay, I don't want to give it a name." She said, "You're talking to this. Who is the person? You're talking like you've known them. You're saying, let's go get a glass of wine. Of course, I don't drink. I'm having a conversation and they're answering you back. And we're talking about the food we like." That's my way that I use technology. I've always done that.
Yeah.
Now, most people would think I've lost it, but I haven't. because we collaborated. So do you know what AI means to be? It is a divine tool.
Yes.
That allows people that can't really articulate, that don't know how, to press their ideas to the door so that the door can open. I don't know if I said that. Does that make sense?
It does. It absolutely makes sense. And if we come back to your experience and you have activated the channel, in the past, the channel may have been this wide and now it's this wide. But as it expands, the cells in your body need to release the generational trauma that have controlled and compelled you. So there's room for the articulation of this new message, this new awareness, this new creativity.
Mm.
And when it's not in alignment with you, you're going to feel it in your body.
Mm.
And I'm going to be there to translate that for you.
That's what I need. I need a translator because Dr. Traci, my entire life, people have always said, you know what, you're amazing. We don't really understand you half the time. We know you're from another planet. I mean, that was in a corporate performance review, just saying. But there was a level of appreciation. So today what we did is we talked about begin. You have to begin to identify the plan. Then we talked about sharing that emotional story, which we just demonstrated in the show today. We can talk about it or we can show people. And that's what we did. And now we're talking about this nurturing a deeper understanding, the idea of giving a solution. But the last part I'd like you to talk about is one of the most used words in the corporate world, abused words, and that is E for empower. Let's talk about what the call to action is. And please, before you do that, how do people get a hold of you? How do we work with you? How do we help get more connected?
Yeah. The call to action and what you want me to share is the same thing. I am so excited to have this platform on your network. Thank you for having me as a way for me to share information and wisdom. I'm a teacher. And so these 30 minutes are going to be about teaching how to be in alignment with your truth. I want to share the self-healing codes. And so we have a mirrored Facebook called Self-Healing Codes with Doctor Traci. Please join the Facebook group. That space is going to be for you guys to ask any questions you want. I'll make reels and do lives and answer the questions. I want you to tell me what you're experiencing in your body. I want to tell you what that means to align to your truth so you can have a key to open a door to get on your path. Most importantly, if you want to commune with me, if you want to work with me, I'm going to invite you to join my healing sanctuary. For $98 a month, you get 20 hours of my live time where I teach you how to activate your power through a 21-day spiritual quest. I teach metaphysical messages 4 times a week, and there is a daily check-in. Every single day, the members have a 30-minute check-in 3 times a week with me, the rest of the week with my team.
Wow.
And so here we have this unfolding. I'll teach you here on Transformational Talk Radio. You can share your information with me on Facebook, and we will work together in my community, the Healing Sanctuary, which you can find at selfawarenesscommunity.com.
I can't thank you enough. I mean, this is one of many. And this is for those of you out there. I just want you to know this because I went through my life feeling I was alone. And the divine put me in front of the door, the key in the door put me in front of a best friend that I met a long time ago. And then my best friend's parents, who basically saved my life. But the part that I had to do, please help me now, is I got the key, but I had to take that key. I had to unlock the door and walk through it. And that's what we're here to help people, not just do things, but to see the world of possibilities. Dr. Traci, one more thing. This is so awesome. I'd love to know your personal message. And then one more time, tell people your website.
Yeah. My personal message is you're not alone. I've got you. It's the key code download called Alma. I see you. You are supported and you are loved. And you will know that every day that you are in the healing sanctuary. Selfawarenesscommunity.com.
Thank you so much for today. And thank you so much for people like me who on the surface looks like we have it all together. I'm a work in progress.
We all are.
Every day, today especially, I now have a new way to look at the journey, to talk about the journey. And boy, does that make life so amazing. Thank you so much for all you do, Dr. Traci.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Pat. I'm honored to be here.
And we're going to be back, though. We're not done.
We are
right?
done.
We got more to come, more keys to talk about, more things to do. Why? Because you all have asked for it. And Dr. Traci has shown up, said yes, and is here for all of us. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Self-Healing Codes with Dr. Traci on Transformation Talk Radio. Join Dr. Traci every first and third Friday at 9:30 Pacific for this portal of transformation, where truth is spoken, healing is activated, and souls remember who they truly are. Don't forget to subscribe and connect to her on Facebook at The Self-Healing Codes with Dr. Traci. Ready to take the next step? Explore healing sessions, activations, certifications, and her daily spiritual practice membership at tracitrimble.ca. Heal, remember, rise. Your journey starts now.